Juan Manuel, how are you this morning?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Juan Manuel, before we start, why don't you give me a little rundown of what you've been up to these days since your time at Pura Politica?
Well, I left New York One News almost 2 years ago, and I've been teaching journalism at Columbia University Journalism School. I'm the local journalism professor here, and I've been teaching students how to report on New York City. In next month, we are hosting a mayoral forum with most of the mayoral candidates. We're going to have them come here and answer some of the questions that my city newsroom students are going to prepare and put together. And I'm also a member of the New York editorial board. Almost every Thursday, we get together at a restaurant slash coffee shop to have breakfast with one of the mayoral hopefuls, and we ask tons of questions. And after that, we publish the transcripts and the audio of that conversation, normally an hour and 15 minutes. We publish all those on our Substack that people can find by looking for the New York editorial board. And it's a bunch of us, including Christina Greer from Fordham University, also from the city, we have Alyssa Katz, we have Ben Smith from Semaphore, we have Ben Max. So it's a large group of local reporters or journalists slash professors coming together, gathering and to come up with some questions that any editorial board would pose to candidates for mayor here in New York City, and then making that transcript available for New Yorkers to decide who is the best candidate to become mayor of New York City in January 1st, 2026.
Juan Manuel, is it an inevitability that the next mayor of New York City is Andrew Cuomo?
I don't think anything is inevitable. You know how politics works. It's a long time till the Democratic primary in late June, even though we are already in March. But I don't think New Yorkers or New York City voters have started paying attention. And I think they will start looking at the candidates in May, late May, before making a decision. And obviously, the former governor has huge name recognition. So it was expected that he would be the instant favorite as soon as he launched his campaign, as he did a few days ago. However, I do believe that there are a few candidates with some interesting messages to New Yorkers, some interesting ideas and plans for the city. And those candidates also have some of them millions of dollars to spend. So their platform and like their name would be more recognizable and before the primary in late June. So even though Andrew Cuomo is the favorite, the clear favorite, I think we still have a lot of time till the primary, and other candidates could become a surprise in the last minute.
As it stands right now, do you think that Mayor Adams is a one-term mayor? Does he have a shot at re-election?
We don't even know if he's running for re-election. Uh, he said that he is running, but we haven't seen many signs that point us in that direction. Even though he obviously wants to say that he's running for re-election because he doesn't want to become a lame duck mayor. At the same time, I think the path to re-election is extremely complicated at this point. I mean, the latest Quinnipiac poll that came out a few days ago has his approval ratings at 20%, and 56% of New York City voters say that he should resign from office. So it would be a very complicated and difficult re-election for him. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few weeks he decides that he's not going to run for re-election, and he would make it official. Uh, I think he wanted to run for re-election, but things got extremely complicated a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, when the whole Trump Justice Department thing came out, and New Yorkers realized that, or many New Yorkers now believe that the mayor cannot be trusted and that he is under the control of President Trump, something that many New Yorkers don't want. I'm not saying that that's the reality, but I do believe that now he is linked, inevitably linked to President Trump, who is extremely unpopular here in New York City. So that path, if he had won to re-election, is extremely narrow at this point.
What does Speaker Adrienne Adams jumping into the race mean for the race? Or and who
I
does it
don't.
help? Who does it hurt?
I don't think it means much, to tell you the truth. New York City Council speakers never had a successful time running for mayor, and even though I think that she is smart, calm, um, uh, pragmatic, and effective elected official, I think very few New Yorkers know who she is. And I think at this point, the field is a little bit too crowded for someone like her to start a campaign, start fundraising. We have other candidates that they've been fundraising for months, and even if uh, not many New Yorkers know about them, they do have millions of dollars at hand right now to pay for a lot of TV commercials or web commercials that in the next few weeks will be extremely important once New Yorkers start paying attention to the race. So Adrian Adams, I can't really see a large, significant uh, constituency that would propel her campaign for mayor. I think it's an interesting addition right now. And I have to say, though, and I'm going to contradict myself right now, that you never know with the new ranked choice voting system. If you have a candidate that might not be the top candidate for many voters, but voters feel that that person is capable and they like that person, and they end up ranking. Many voters end up ranking that person at the second spot. That candidate might have a chance to win, but at the same time, I think it might be a little too late for her to jump into the race. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks.
If you were to say right now, who are the top three favorites to win this whole
Uh,
thing? It's early. I know it's early, but as it stands right now,
so as it stands, let me answer that question in a different way. I think the leader, the driver, let's say the driver of the race right now is former Governor Andrew Cuomo. So whoever is in on that top three list is going to have to mount a huge contrast and maybe attack campaign against the former governor. Now, who is better or best equipped to execute that kind of campaign? Having spoken to many of the other candidates at this point and looking at their finances right now, I think that Zohran Mamdani, the state assemblyman from Queens, he has resources to mount a credible campaign, and he is running a different kind of outreach that is really um, making inroads in a lot of young voters, and he's getting a lot of Democrats excited, left-wing Democrats. So I think he is someone that might be on that top three list, even if we have to consider that he is a left wing, that very progressive. He calls himself a socialist, and that might scare off many other Democratic voters. So it might be hard for him to win the election, but at the same time, I think he would be on that top three list. And the other one that I think could really get to that list if he manages to run an effective campaign that gets his name out there, um, in a way that could reach a large amount of voters, might be Zelnor Myrie, the state senator from Brooklyn, who who's running a very smart campaign, and who has a very interesting message. Uh, so I think that those are the two candidates that maybe former Governor Andrew Cuomo should be, if not like scared of, but should be looking at right now as his main contenders in this race, or as the two candidates that might hurt his own campaign the most.
One question in terms of that. We just saw today that Assemblymember Latrice Walker endorsed Governor Cuomo. In terms of rolling out endorsements, it's really creating a snowball, so to speak, of just like a steamroll of pretty much the field. And with all these endorsements in pockets of the city that have traditionally supported Mayor Adams, and in the last round, and all these folks are moving towards Andrew Cuomo. What are your thoughts if you are the opposition? What are your thoughts on what are the vulnerabilities that former Governor Cuomo has? What are the holes in the armor right now?
I mean, he resigned in disgrace in 2021, and if the other, if the former governor's rivals uh, manage to really um, run an effective attack campaign on Andrew Cuomo, they might be not lethal, but might be dangerous to his chances to become mayor. Now, New Yorkers are looking for someone who is pragmatic, someone who is no nonsense, and someone who would be able to get things done. And at this point, uh, the former governor has that image, has that rap. New Yorkers see him as someone who is effective, ruthless, no nonsense, and what they really want, like they did 4 years ago, because I think the main sentiment in the electorate this year is very similar to what we saw in 2021, is that they need someone. New Yorkers are looking for someone who can get things done, that they believe Mayor Adams hasn't been able to do it. He hasn't lived up to the expectations. New Yorkers are still concerned about public safety. They're concerned about mental health in our streets. They are concerned about affordability. So those are the main issues. And if the former cop wasn't able to deliver on those, now they're looking for someone who they believe would be able to close the deal, to do it, to deliver. And if any of Cuomo's rivals wants to be effective, they will have to portray themselves as someone who can get things done without having the baggage that someone like Andrew Cuomo has after so many decades in the political scene.
Juanma, what do you think of Governor Hochul? Is there any vulnerability there? Again, long ways away. But Congressman Torres and Congressman Lawler, people think that there is blood in the water there.
Yeah, well, she is vulnerable, obviously. Um, that's going to be complicated because I do believe that if we are saying that it's a long time from now till June for the mayoral primary, imagine for the gubernatorial primaries in 2026. They are really far right now. I do believe that we are going to see that whoever becomes mayor might become an ally or a rival of Governor Hochul. So that relationship is going to be key. Also, how we see evolving their relationship between Governor Hochul and President Trump, that's going to be really important. Is President Donald Trump going to freeze federal funding to New York State or New York City? How would Governor Hochul react to that? So again, I think it's going to be very interesting to see what's happening in the next within the next year before we can make any predictions about that race. Having said that, like I said at the beginning, I think she is vulnerable and Democrats are vulnerable. I do think that the Republican Congressman Mike Lawler is an extremely effective candidate for governor. And in a state that is right now more or going more to the center of the political spectrum or in ideology. And I think also that the Bronx Congressman Richie Torres is building up some important, significant infrastructure that is needed to run a credible campaign for governor in the state.
Last questions before we wrap, Juan Manuel. I want you to make a prediction. Does Mayor Adams run?
I don't think he is
You think he says, "I'm not
going.
running, but I'll just finish out the term and then that's it. Call it a day."
I think he's not going to run at this point. But I do believe that these political calculations could change from one day to the next.
What
If
could prompt him to run if he's not?
I think that maybe he ends up switching to the Republican Party. Maybe he tries to run as an independent. Maybe uh, all of a sudden there's some early victory with his administration, and that gives him a bump in the polls. Maybe Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch manages to provide a sense of safety and security to New Yorkers, and Eric Adams can get credit for it. And then his reelection chances have a clear path to winning. But it's hard to predict. I just told you one more person that a lot of people talk about that she should be running for mayor and that she's really likable in powerful circles here in New York City. That is the police commissioner Jessica Tisch. She also has that rap of being effective and being a no nonsense technocrat. Yeah, and at the end of the day, that I believe is what New Yorkers feel they want to see in City Hall.
What would you say if there's one thing that will make Mayor Adams a one-term mayor? What was the biggest thing that you say, the biggest mistake or the biggest decision based on what you've seen and read that led to this, right?
I think getting too close to Donald Trump proved to be
Fatal potential.
extremely damaging.
Mm.
I think that calculation didn't go the right way, and that is sinking any kind of political future in New York City for him. Even after the indictment last year, he had a chance to make a case to his base. But at this point, I do believe that his association with President Trump and his um, deportation strategy, I don't think New Yorkers now can see him as a trusted leader to keep running the city. That's what I believe from conversations with a lot of New Yorkers who are also a little tired of the mayor's rhetoric. And they believe, these New Yorkers I speak to, that he hasn't been able to deliver, that there's too much talk and not enough results.
Juanma, biggest news of the week, Friday, and the close of the week. What was the biggest news this week, in your opinion? Was
It
it
was
was it the mayor at the hearing, on migrants, and how a lot of Democrats, even from other states, were saying you should resign, or was it some of the Ruben Diaz endorsement of Governor Cuomo? What was the biggest news of the week politically?
I mean, the biggest news was Andrew Cuomo finally announcing that he's joining the race, and all of a sudden, sucking all the air out of the room. I think that announcement that everybody was waiting for weeks, it came last weekend, and that's all
But
now
post that,
we
we
talk
got
about.
that. That was Saturday. Post that this week, starting Monday till now.
Once again, I think that the main character this week was Andrew Cuomo,
Mm.
and rolling all those early endorsements from legislators and former elected officials, and just making that huge uh, entry into the campaign that I believe now is on. And before his announcement, it was just a warm up. Now it's for real, and that's also made other people to run for mayor, like Speaker Adams. But I think that that's the biggest news here locally, because if we go nationally, obviously the things that are happening right now in Washington are life changing and history changing. We are seeing a turning point in our history, not only in our country but also all over the world.
Mama, thank you so much. Anything you want to add or say that I forgot to ask you?
I just think that it's great that you're doing this, and it's always a lot of fun talking to you about politics. And I wish you well, and I hopefully you keep doing what you're doing. You're doing it really well, and I'm happy to uh, to talk to you again after such a long time.
Yeah, Juan, thank you so much. All the best to you, and hopefully this won't be the last time, man. Have a great weekend.
Hopefully not.
All
You
right.
too.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.